What's up everybody, welcome back to the neighbor's kitchen. I'm Danny, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I cook my steak to perfection every single time. It's actually quite easy, doesn't take very long to be honest with you, but I got a few tips and tricks I think you're really going to love to help you get there this summer. So stay tuned and let's get cooking. Alright, so let's get started here. I am, for today's video, using this bone-in short loin steak. This method that I'm about to share with you works with any kind of steak that you ever want, so don't worry about having to find one of these. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get this guy dry brined. And you don't need to do it very long. You can get this done in an hour, no problem, especially with these little thinner steaks. A thicker steak, give it a little more time. But the first step we're going to take here is actually we're going to pat it dry. And you might be wondering, now hang on, you said we're going to cook this to perfection. Don't we want to retain moisture? Well, that would be a very intuitive question. The liquid that we're absorbing in our paper towel is not going to give us a very good crust. We want a good crust, so we're going to remove that moisture. Step 2 is to season your steak. Now, there are so many ways to season a steak, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm telling you my favorite way to do it. I really love steak. I don't like to overpower it with a whole lot of extra flavors. So I just use my classic 2-to-1. This is 2 parts kosher salt to 1 part black pepper. And we're just going to nice and evenly spread it all around. We're going to get one side nice and evenly. The thicker your steak, the more seasoning you can throw on it too, by the way. And then we're going to get all the sides, including anything that is a fat cap or bone. Got good coverage on the edges. And then we're going to flip it over and we're going to get our opposing side. There we go. So now what's going to happen is you might be thinking, now hang on, you just salted a steak. Don't you want to cook it right away? No. We're going to dry brine it. That's what this process is called. You'll see it is on a wire rack to let air all the way around it. Just like that first step where we patted it dry with a paper towel. If that is sitting on a plate, there's going to be moisture that collects a little bit under there, and then that bottom side isn't going to be dry, and you're going to have an inconsistent crust. The bottom side's going to be more wet. It's going to steam instead of sear, and you don't want that. So that's why we do this on a wire rack. What this salt is going to do is it is actually going to draw out a little moisture, but don't worry, it's not going to dry out your steak. Because when the moisture is drawn out of the steak, it dissolves the salt and then absorbs back into the meat. That's the brine part of dry brining. But notice we don't have a bucket out. We're not wasting a bunch of seasonings that get disposed in a brine bath. This is just, in my opinion, the best way to be doing this. So, couple more steps up front. This stays on the counter for an hour to 90 minutes. You can let thicker cuts out longer, but this is going to, technically speaking, start our cook. So this is acclimating to room temperature. I think my house thermostat set to 70 degrees. It's not going to get to 70 in that short amount of time, but what it is going to do is bring this steak out of the temperature that it was in the refrigerator and bring it up a little bit so that when we throw it on the grill, it's not going to have this huge gap of internal temperature to ambient temperature. That shocks out moisture. That is not what we want. So we're just bringing the gap between the steak and the ambient temperature of the grill a little closer together by acclimating it like so. Now here is my secret weapon to how I cook my steaks perfectly every time. I'm going to use my ThermoPro TempSpike Pro. This is the 4 Pro model, so you can cook a lot of steaks and monitor it. We want to place this probe. Our bone is over here. We want to avoid that. Looks like it's comes over there. Yep. So we want to find our way somewhere in the middle. So maybe coming in like that. Yeah. We're going to go nice and centered on the side, and just gently go in. We go all the way up to the colored handle. This measures our ambient heat. And the TempSpike Pros actually have 3 points where they measure in their temp spikes. And what displays on the base station is the lowest. So it's really going to help us get there right away. What we're going to do is when we throw this on the grill, we're going to take the temperature that the steak has reached as it acclimates, and we're going to subtract from the temperature that we want to take it off at, divide that by 4. That's every time I'm going to flip it nice and evenly. We are going to take it off before we get to the temperature that I want, because it's going to continue to climb after we pull it off. In the rest, I'm going to show you all of that. Now, I didn't decide what I'm cooking this on for this video, so fortunately I have an hour to 90 minutes to figure that out, so you'll be as surprised as I am. I'll see you back in a bit. So I decided, after a long hard think, to use my Weber Kettle and some charcoal. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes. Took me a little longer to get my charcoal going. Also, I evicted my cello stove from its little pad that I made for this, and if I like this, which I am, might be making another one of these. This is working out quite nicely. So, our steak reached 60 degrees in that hour and 20 minutes via acclimating inside on the tray. You can see in this little B-roll I got that all the salt has been dissolved. The texture you see is just black pepper, and it is not pooled up in moisture. It hasn't been sitting in it, so it's going to give us that texture that we really like. We're at somewhere between 475 and 500 degrees with our charcoal. I got it lit. I'm using these new Weber little cubes now instead of paper. I found they work out quite nicely. I'm a big fan of that. So now what we're going to do, we got everything going in here. We're nice and hot. This is seasoned. It's acclimated. We're at 60 degrees. I want to pull it off at about 125. I'm actually looking for 135. But at this temperature, it is going to rise all the way to 135 after we take it off the grill. So 60 divided by 4 is 15. So every 15 degrees, we're going to flip it. We're going to 90 it every time it gets flipped onto the same side. So without any further ado, let's grab this short loin. And I'm going to put them over here, starting out. And at 75 degrees, we'll do our first flip. It's been just a couple of minutes and we're at 75 already. It's reading 572 over the coals, so this is hot. So let's go ahead, do our first flip. Here we are again. Now we're at 90 internal. So we're going to give it our second flip. And on the second flip, we're going to try to get it so that we get the crosshatch going. So we're going to go 90 degrees that time. Okay, I have this problem with numbers where I estimate and round up and down to make things easier in my head, and I just realized that that doesn't translate very well on camera, so let me show you precisely what I'm trying to do here. My target temperature is 135 degrees, but I'm assuming a 10 degree residual rise after it gets pulled off of the heat, so I'm going to pull it off the grill at 125 degrees. The current internal temperature after acclimation of the steak is 60 degrees. So I take 125 and subtract 60 to get 65 degrees. This is how much I have to cook my steak. So to understand when I want to flip my steak, I divide 65 by 4, which is 16 1/4. Hence why I round up and down and whatnot to get it easier in my head. So my first flip happened at 75 degrees, and my second flip I did at 90. I think I saw it get up to 91. third and final flip, I did it 112. You are correct, none of this is exact, but it's still pretty close and still rather evenly spaced. Besides, no one's measuring their steaks to the 100th of a degree anyhow. There's 112. We got this grill going super hot. Look at that. I'm gonna take this guy. Oh, we're getting that nice crosshatch. There's 124. We'll stick with even numbers today. Got crosshatch on both sides. Bring this over to my plate. Let's get this inside, let it rest for a little bit. This will, I'm telling you, get all the way to 135. We're already at 129. While we wait for this thing to cool down a little bit and rest, I want to share with you a couple of deals that are going on right now that you can take advantage of right this moment. One of the things that put me into the next level game when it comes to cooking meat, regardless if it's a long cook like a brisket or a short cook like a steak, was my ThermoPro TempSpikes. It all started for me when I got my twin TempSpike. Now this thing was a real game changer. It allowed me to get all around the house for very long cooks and keep an eye on what I'm doing, allow me to multitask and keep an eye on not ruining dinner. Well, these are on sale right now for Father's Day. Buy one, get one. So if you are new to this or if you just want to upgrade your gadget game, go ahead and head on over to the link in the description below and get one for yourself and one for Dad. Or if you already have one, just get two for Dad. I'm sure he'd love that. But it doesn't end there. They, for Father's Day, also have one of my other favorites, the TempSpike Plus, in a bundle. You can get this and an instant read thermometer, which just sets you up for success across all sorts of things that you're ever going to cook. My personal favorite, though, is what you saw me use tonight, and that is the TempSpike Pro. This thing is a step above everything else on the market, including an upgraded app from the other two I just showed you that makes things so awesome. The hot and cold spot sensors and all the probes, you can get this totally customizable in a 1, 2, 3, and 4 probe model. And this one also adapts to Wi-Fi, so you can monitor whatever it is you're cooking from literally anywhere. It's pretty awesome. It's the most advanced, totally wireless, rechargeable thermometer on the market. I trust it with all of my stuff on a weekly basis. So head on over, check out the links in the description below, and head on over to their website for some killer Father's Day deals. And it's not selfish to pick up some stuff for yourself. Now, let's slide on over to that steak we made. Okay, so I did overshoot it by 2 degrees. It topped out at 137. We had a really hot fire going on there. So regardless of where you want to stop your steak, just be cognizant of it's going to grow. If you want to stop at 135 for medium rare, take 10 degrees off, maybe even 12 if you have a fire that hot. If you want to go medium well, we're not even going to talk about well, or rare, just stop ahead of the time because it's going to grow. And you want to make sure that it stops climbing where you want it to be. So there's that. But that went pretty quickly. And look at this steak. This is beautiful. The crosshatch pattern, I love it. Go ahead and we will remove our TempSpike. Comes out nice and clean. We got our bone there and our bone across this side. Let's see if we can just get a sample piece for you guys. Right out of the middle. Nice and pliable. It's that beautiful red that we're all looking for. Every time, baby. Every time. Doesn't have to be on a charcoal grill. This works just as well on a pellet smoker, a pellet grill, a flat top griddle, a cast iron pan, propane grill. I'm telling you, you gotta try this. Let me know if you do in the comments below. Check out the description for links to all these thermometers that you can get your hands on. And just remember, don't be afraid to try new things, okay? All you gotta do, get a steak. Dry brine it with the instructions I gave you. Let it sit out to acclimate a little bit. Cook it, take your time, flip it every 4 sections of incremental degrees. Let it rest, slice it, enjoy. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Until the next time, be well.